Hello, my name is Adam Wolfe, and this is my video for MIDI drumming as it relates to Wonderland. I'm going to play a few tunes from the first act, and then I will take a break and tell you about some of the hardware and software that I'm using. So what you see me using here today for the video is a borrowed and very generously lent set of Roland V drums. I'm using its TD12 module as a MIDI interface to trigger software loaded into my Muse Receptor here. I was really excited when I heard that Wonderland was going kind of all digital with the drum sounds, and I immediately thought of this device because I knew a little bit about its power from having done some work with Mallet Cat. And I knew this was just like the best device for accomplishing the wide variety of sounds that is required of a show like Wonderland, because the show has so many different styles, and many of those styles are defined so much from the drum chair just by the sounds that they make. So I knew this was the right setup to use for the show. I know one concern we have about using electronic instruments, of course, is how easily we can manipulate tones. So I'm going to show you a little bit of that here. This is the software that I'm using to trigger my drum set sounds, which is called Addictive Drums. This is my kit for Welcome to Wonderland. In here, this is the software's interface. Just like I would see it on a Mac or PC, it's coming out of here, and this monitor is hooked directly into Receptor, and this mouse and keyboard are too. And so I'm just looking at Receptor. There's no other computer involved except this. So this is, there's all the tones here. I can kind of like sample them. I can kind of sample the different tones and such here through this way. You can see here, I can click on here and I can change the list of instruments. There's quite an extensive list of instruments here. There's 4 bass drums. There's about 6 snare drums, several different sets of toms. You can see when I look through the cymbal list, there's a wide list of crash cymbals, Chinese cymbals and splash cymbals, several ride cymbals, a couple different cowbells. So that's how I can individually change tones. You see, like this is the bass drum I was using. So we wanted a bigger, more pillowy sound. We can change the drum that way. Let's say it's not so much that we want to actually change the acoustic instrument. Let's say we want to just edit the instrument. Well, for that, we come into this screen here, and there's all these different parameters that we can work with. This is the mix on the microphone. Here we can kind of change. There's two virtual mics here. You know, change the sound of the kick drum that way. All these different effects, compressor, distortion, equalizer, specifically to this one kit piece. There's also this list of effects, which are more sort of global effects on the kit, different kinds of reverb, more EQ, there's several different kinds of reverb. There's the plate, ambience, room, hall, etc. So all the different kinds of software that we could use all have some interface that works just like this to some extent. This one tends to be very graphic, which is one of the reasons why I like it. This would also be the place where the sound designer and I could probably meet, you know, from time to time as we're working on the show to do kind of a periodic, I guess, seating, you know, like we did with the acoustic instruments only in here. Because all of the mixing and editing and stuff happens in this side of things. And I want to make sure that the guys or girls at the front of house are really able to get the right sounds they want so that the music sounds best. So this is where the sound designer and I could kind of, you know, collaborate and, you know, take, you know, clues from the music director and the music supervisor, and everybody can just sort of work to kind of make the right sounds happen here. When I think of the percussion playing in Wonderland, no number stands out to me more than Go With The Flow, the Latin number. In that book, in that number, sorry, the percussionist was playing not only the full drum set, but also the conga, the timbale, and the cowbell, and the keyboard player was playing the güiro. So, you know, most drum set softwares, they don't really come with, you know, a whole lot of percussion sounds. Addictive Drums, for instance, only has a cowbell as its one lone percussion sound. Some of them have it available in kind of an add-on pack that you can buy and add into the software at a later date. And there's also, of course, kind of exclusive percussion-only software modules like Virtual Drumline, or in the case of what I'm using here, a mixed module that's all kinds of percussion, which is Battery 3. So you'll see, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play some Go With The Flow and show you how I'm using the SPDS. And what you're going to be hearing is Addictive Drums on the drum pads and Battery 3 playing all the percussion sounds on the SPDS. So that was me playing two different plugins, like I mentioned before, the Addictive Drums in the drum set and the SPDS playing Battery 3 to get, you know, a very full percussion library of sounds there in a live performance. So you can see in Receptors, this is the mixer view on Receptor, that I've got, you know, several different plugins all kind of loaded up here at the same time. I've titled them according to which number they correspond to. There's the opening, the Welcome to Wonderland, etc. This one over here is my percussion. Again, like this is we can go in here and look at actually the battery GUI for a second so you can see like it's a different thing. So this is the battery GUI. This is what battery percussion looks like. So, you know, I've got them both loaded up. If I come back over here and we go look at, you know, another Addictive Drums, we're back to the Addictive Drums GUI, and these are both running at the same time. Another concern that we have when performing a show with, you know, MIDI percussion is being able to switch from patches, individual patches very quickly. It's a little tough to see with the lighting in here, and I think my monitor is starting to go a little funny. But these buttons down here at the bottom of the mixer view are the bypass button. And what I've done is I've loaded up all of these patches, these source plugins, into the Receptor in a certain order so that I can switch back and forth between them very quickly. And I'm going to show you now a little bit of how I'm able to do that in a very quick live setting with very little, in fact, basically no lag time between patches. So now I'm going to show you how quickly I can rifle through the samples here in a live performance situation and get all these different sounds. So here's the kit we use for the opener. Welcome to Wonderland. One night. Debraining machine. Little Mad Hatter. And lastly, the Latin kit. So you can see very quickly no lag time whatsoever between these patches because of how I loaded them up in the receptor. So this is where it gets really cool for Wonderland and what I think is so exciting about a setup like this. So as I've explained, I have these various plugins loaded, and they're different source plugins. They all happen to be, all of my drum set sounds, like I said, are from Addictive Drums, and my percussion sounds are from Battery 3. But here's what's so cool. It doesn't have to be that way. We could load in a different plugin for each of these drum sets. We could load in BFD or Superior Drummer 2.0, which I've spoken to the Muse research people, and Superior Drummer 2.0 is being receptorized right now as we speak. They're in the testing stages with that one right now. BFD, Superior Drummer, maybe Steven Slate drums, Ocean Wave drums. All of these we can load into Receptor to get drum set sounds. For percussion, we can do Battery 3 like I'm doing now. We can do Virtual Drumline, which is widely regarded as the best concert percussion sampler. Another reason why I like Virtual Drumline is it has really good samples of cymbals and such played with mallets. You don't really get that option in most drum set samplers. So that's really important. What I think is so cool about it is basically we could, if we wanted to, make every drum track in Wonderland sound completely different from the one before it or the one after it. Like we could use different plugins, get all completely different samples, and still maintain a very high quality level of sound and a very fast and snappy kind of performance. So I find that really exciting. So as I mentioned, my SPDS is doing the percussion triggering. There's a couple other things the SPDS can do that I think could be very relevant to the show. I know we talked about possibly using loops for the show. Well, the SPDS can trigger loops in Ableton Live or actually in Battery, as I showed you here. Like I don't know if we got too far into it, but with the Battery GUI, they have these things. These are the cells in Battery, and this is where I've kind of applied certain tones to a various cell. In these cells, you can also assign loops. You can assign loops to trigger on and off and group them based on a polyphony. So I can turn this one on, and that makes this other one turn off, and all that. And that can be done inside Battery 3 here. Another option of the SPDS, its usual function is as an audio sampler. So if there are any sounds that we have that are kind of in Wonderland that maybe aren't sampled yet, well, we could sample it and then play it back through sampling software via MIDI. That would work. Or the SPDS is kind of a hardware-based sampler. We can play back wave files. I think specifically maybe of the key tree. I don't know if there's a lot of good key tree samples out there. I also think of the single wind chime notes. Those are probably no examples of that really exist. So we could record that and then play it back through the SPDS for those couple moments in the show. So with all of these devices running these these different plugins and sampling and looping and all that, there's really nothing we can't do in this show. There's no sounds we can't play back, and we can make all these sounds happen. And I just think a show like Wonderland with so much variety in its sounds could really benefit from a setup like this. So I just want to thank you for your time watching this video. I hope everything that I've said has been clear. If there's something you wanted to see more of, or you didn't understand, or if I skipped over something that you'd like to see me do, please just get a hold of me, and I'll be happy to try to explain or get another video off to you. Again, I thank you for your time and the opportunity to make this video for you all. It's been really fun to learn about all this different stuff, and I'm really excited about what we could do with Wonderland and a setup like this. So now I'm going to play a little bit of the bow music to take us out, and thanks, and hopefully I'll hear from you all soon. Take care.